Maha, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is education? Books? Classes? Education is not that. It's beyond this. Education is a term that we have grown up listening to since we were kids. Right from the beginning of childhood till this very moment, we have been surrounded by education and its need and importance. A luxury for the rich, a necessity for the bread earner, a dream for the underprivileged, an aspiration for the suppressed, a distant reality for the inaccessible. The primary objective of education is to impart knowledge. Education also has its fair share in building the thinking capacity of people's minds. Hence, education supplies people with knowledge and facts and also encourages them to integrate that acquired knowledge into practical and professional lives via necessary training. Education, thus, also plays a primary role in supporting the economic, social, and cultural sector of a country. It's a way to change the future today. The current education system can make people easy to lead, but difficult to drive, is either all academic, all physical, all virtual, or all costly. Also, it makes it easy to govern, but impossible to enslave. We cannot win over the future by sabotaging our present with extreme disparity. Iiu takes great pride in saying that we're bridging the gaps in education system. We're not just academicians, but also practically oriented. We're not just limited to virtual classes, but also physical exposure. We do not dig a hole in the pockets of the students and their families. We're everything that traditional education hasn't been. Iiu has already implemented and promoting the MOOCs technology. When we talk about MOOCs technology, it stands for Massive, Open, Online Courses. The word massive is to be understood in the sense that 100,000 learners or more at the same time have open and equal opportunities to attend these courses. MOOCs are truly a tremendous technological leap, and what makes them so attractive is that they don't imply any cost to learners. Iiu has tied up with more than 100 universities to provide more than 10,000 courses to the students, free of cost, with the help of MOOCs technology. We're a revolution in the making, a wind of change. Education is much more charming and intriguing than the temptations of distractions unnecessary. Our education policymakers must look into the problem to make a better system, which is more practical and provides hands-on learning to the students. Who are we? The International Internship University is a virtual university with state-of-the-art curriculum, real-life industry exposure, amazing student attention, learning-oriented resources, and most of all, a commitment to make the world a better place. Why do we exist? We exist to fulfill the necessity of the bread earner. We exist to help underprivileged achieve their dreams. We exist to fuel aspirations and accessibility. We exist to provide everyone the luxury of being capable of changing the world. We really do exist to ignite young minds and make them the torchbearers of tomorrow. For a better future. For the legacy of everyone who's left us. For the hope of everyone who's yet to come. For the growth of everyone who walks this beautiful planet. We invite you to join our world-class educational team and platform with an altruistic dedication to creating the future. The change is so big that it would potentially impact millions across the world. Millions of children and youth around the world cannot wait any longer. Please join us in our effort to create the virtual learning generation of IIU. We're IIU, we're change. Welcome to our world, a new tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, Maha, for this introductory video. Good evening, distinguished guests, respected educators, honored speakers, peace advocates, and participants joining us from around the world. Before I begin, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our wonderful host moderator today, Mrs. Maha Shhadi, for her warm welcome and for graciously guiding today's conference with us. I would also like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the IIU University, its visionary leadership, and everyone who believed in this initiative and made this global gathering possible. Thank you for opening this opportunity for educators from around the world to come together under one shared vision that education can be a powerful force for peace. As the founder of the Educators for Global Conference 2026, raising our voice against war, it's both a privilege and an honor to welcome each and every one of you. Today, we gather not simply as representatives of different countries, professions, or institutions. We gather as one global family, united by one shared belief that education is the key to the most powerful foundations upon which lasting peace can be built and count on. Around the world, millions of children continue to suffer the devastating consequences of war, displacement, injustice, and division. Behind every statistic is a child whose dreams have been interrupted, a family longing for safety, and a teacher who continues to inspire despite unimaginable challenges. As educators, we can never remain silent. Our responsibility extends far beyond teaching subjects. We shape values, nurture compassion, encourage critical thinking and decision making, and help raise up generations who choose dialogue over violence, understanding over prejudice, and hope over despair. Tonight, we raise our voices not to deepen conflict, but to build bridges, not to spread fear, but to inspire hope, not to divide humanity, but to unite it through education. Our distinguished speakers, thank you for being with us today. You represent diverse nations, cultures, and experiences. Yet, you are united by one common purpose to demonstrate how education can transform lives, empower communities, and contribute to a more peaceful and just world. May today's conversations inspire meaningful partnerships, courageous leadership, and practical actions that continue long after this conference has ended. Thank you for believing in the power of education. Thank you for standing with us in this global movement for peace. Thank you for being with us today. It's now my great honor to begin introducing our distinguished speakers. Let us begin with our guest of honor, Dr. Mike Cunningham. It's my great honor to introduce you, Dr. Mike Cunningham. Dr. Mike is a visionary educator and global leader from the United States. He serves as the director of a world-class schools, director of Global Scholars Diploma program at the World Affairs Council of Austin, director of one of the world's largest legal education programs for high school students, and a faculty member at the University of Texas Online High School. Through decades of leadership, he has empowered thousands of educators and students worldwide, making him a true champion of education, leadership, and peace. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Mike Cunningham. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Distinguished and esteemed colleagues, and most importantly, the architects of tomorrow, our students. We stand today at the temporal precipice. A century has passed since the cataclysmic events of 1915, 1923, or the Sefer, the year of the sword in Aramaic, when the Assyrian people, an ancient civilization with roots tracing back to the cradles of Mesopotamia, faced a systematic campaign of annihilation by the Ottoman Empire. For far too long, the historiographical parts of this period have been dominated by silence or at best fragmented knowledge, and we're not merely here to excavate history, but to weaponize it in the name of restorative social justice. To teach the Syrian genocide today is to engage in a radical act of defiance against historical amnesia. To do so effectively, we must move beyond the static textbook. I propose a pedagogical framework that merges the Cunningham model of inquiry into the courtroom to the classroom project, utilizing international courts of criminal justice as our primary site of intellectual labor. Methodology of the justice, the Cunningham model. The Cunningham model was originally designed to foster critical engagement in historical analysis, demands that we strip away the veneer of passive consumption. We ask students to move from reception to reconstruction. By applying this to the Syrian genocide, we are forced the students to cross-examine their biases and gaps in traditional canon. When applying the Cunningham model to the SAFO, we ask students simply not to memorize dates or massacres. We ask them to integrate the intent. We ask them to analyze the infrastructure of the Ottoman state decrees. We challenge them to map intersections of ethnic nationalism and religious persecution. The model turns the student into a historian investigator, transforming the abstract trajectory of a century ago into the vibrant living case of study of state-sponsored violence. The classroom and the ICJ. The courtroom to the classroom project becomes a transformative reality. In the pedagogical experiment, the classroom ceases to be a room. It becomes a great hall of justice at The Hague. Students are divided into legal teams, acting as state agents, prosecutors. They are asked to the daunting responsibility of reconstructing a case for the recognition of the Syrian genocide under the 1948 Genocide Convention, even retroactively applying the framework. By engaging in preliminary mock hearings, the ICJ, the students are forced to grapple with the complexities of international law. They must wrestle with the concepts and definitions of protected groups and the thresholds of bodily or mental harm. When a student must stand before their peers and argue why the deportation of a Syrian population to Mesopotamian deserts constitutes an act of calculation, death, to bring about physical destruction, they are no longer reading history. They are internalizing the gravity of human rights. Why does this matter? Critics may argue retroactively applying the ICJ framework to events from 1915 is a purely academic exercise of what if. They are wrong. This is a fact of potential tool that have in prevention of future atrocities. The logic of genocide is repetitive. Mechanisms of dehumanization, the fabrications of internal threats, the systematic excursion of perceived others from the body politics are the patterns that remain constant from the Ottoman Empire to the modern day conflicts we see today. When we teach students to identify the precursors to the Assyrian genocide through legalistic lens, we are refining their ability to recognize early warning of genocide happening in the present, social justice, and the century of after the fact. It's not about settling old debts. It's about establishing a precedent of the international community that will allow the truth to not to be buried any further. By formalizing the history through the vigor of the ICJ hearings, we strip away political excuses that have marginalized the Assyrian experience for decades. In conclusion, we look at the future. We must recognize the shadow of the SAFO as still stretches long across the Middle East. The Syrian community remains a state of precarious survival, their heritage under the constant threat of erasure. By integrating a Cunningham model with the C2C project, we are not just teaching history, we are building legal and moral firewall against repetition of the unthinkable. We are empowering the youth to stand in the halls of justice, real or imagined, and demand that the world witness the tragedy of the past so they will never be repeated again. Let me say that again. It'll never be repeated again. Let us commit ourselves to a pedagogy of rigor and empathy. Let us ensure that our classrooms are not just environments of learning, but incubators of the next generation of human rights defenders. Social justice begins now. Through the rigorous engagement of the Assyrian genocide, we do more than remember the dead. We secure the future of the living. Justice delayed by a century is still justice, and the classroom work of the making of never again a reality is not just a slogan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mike, for sharing your ICJ program, which is really building up generation wise enough to learn from the previous mistakes and start a better future where never the genocides are repeated. Our guest of honor now is special, Dr. Virginia Rivera, representing Puerto Rico, representing IIU. We are honored to welcome you here, an internationally recognized entrepreneur, a global leader, and the CEO of the International Internship University. She also serves as a president of the World Education Policy and holds leadership roles in several international organizations dedicated to education, entrepreneurship, and community development. Through her visionary leadership, she has empowered communities across nations, across continents, by advancing education, innovation, and economic opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Virginia Rivera. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, dear Haragandu. I am really, really happy to be. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Educators, leaders, students, and global citizens, at International Internship University, we believe that education is one of humanity's most powerful instruments for peace. As conflicts continue to affect and arise communities across the world, we are reminded that peace is not built only through treaties and diplomacy. It is built every day in classrooms, in conversations, and in the values we pass on to the future generations. It happens at home with our first teacher, our parents. We are adamant in our mission that access to quality education from an early age is the foundation upon which peaceful societies are built. When we educate minds, we cultivate understanding. When we create opportunity, we strengthen humanity. Through Educators for Peace, raising our voices against war, we unite educators, thought leaders, and advocates for peace from around the world to affirm a simple but very powerful truth. Every child deserves the opportunity to learn in safety. Every community deserves hope, and every human being deserves dignity. Conflict zones are not dignified for a human life. Education teaches us to see beyond borders, beyond differences, and beyond fear. It builds tolerance, which is the least that we can ask. It cultivates empathy, understanding, critical thinking, and the courage to choose dialogue over division. It is okay to disagree, but with respect. As educators, we have both the privilege and the responsibility to shape future when peace is not merely an aspiration, but it's a shared global commitment. And for our sustainability as human race, it is needed. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Hara Gandour of Lebanon, Chair of the Educators for Peace Initiative, for her steadfast dedication to advancing this dialogue, understanding, and human dignity through education. We believe it can be done. Your leadership reminds us that educators are not only teachers of knowledge, but they're also builders of peace. My sincere appreciation always goes to Advocate Piyush Pandit, founder of IIU, as you could see in the video, whose vision continues to create platforms like this that unite people across nations. in pursuit of education, leadership, and global cooperation. I am equally grateful to Maha Shaze, Executive Director of Global Affairs at IIU, for her commitment to fostering international collaboration and, more than anything, strengthening the global connections that make initiatives like this possible. She is our bridge builder. Today, we raise our voices not in opposition to one another, but in support of humanity. We stand together for learning, compassion, justice, and a world where the next generation will inherit opportunities instead of conflict. It is very sad for the majority of us to know that when we were growing up, we were free compared to what we see today. May this dialogue inspire action, strengthen understanding, and remind us that lasting peace begins with education. Together, let us choose peace. Together, let us choose humanity. Together, let us educate for a better world. With hope and solidarity, I am here before you, and IIU as well. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia, for your insights. Thank you for being always that supportive for all the initiatives. You mentioned that every child deserves to learn. And here you reminded us that it's our educators' role to teach them humanity and values. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you so much. Every one of you. Thank you.
Our first featured speaker is a special from Italy, representing Italy. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Nico Delphin, a mental coach and leadership professional with extensive experience in human development and the hospitality industry. With a background in political science and international relations and advanced studies in mental coaching and human resources management, he is passionate about sustainable leadership, personal growth, and empowering people to reach their full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Nico Delphin. The floor is yours.
Me? Abra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you for the
Receive it.
presentation, and thank you all for being here today. Okay, we have just 5 minutes. So why are we here today? We would like to right the wrong, of course, but changing our perspective is the first step of educating for peace. I don't have the magic formula, yet analyzing what is happening can help us to strengthen our will to make this world a better place, especially for the next generations. We are living in difficult times, marked by many wars in the last few years. So we must ask ourselves, what has profoundly changed? The world once relied on international law. Today, it's increasingly governed by the law of the strongest. And what about the most widespread leadership style today? We see too many bosses who divided their audiences instead of true leaders who stand for unity. How can we educate for peace and coexistence within a system essentially built on the principles of scarcity, a system capable of assigning a price to almost everything? In many countries and cultures, people are programmed to fight for survival, and this mindset is the result of a kind of education teaching us that life is like a permanent battle. Play your game, fake educators seem to tell us. Polarization is one of the most powerful means of undermining our inner balance because it leads to think in terms of us versus them. This is why we end up divided into two or more tribes, and our consciousness and spirituality are consequently weakened. Social Darwinism is another useful lens to understand how many societies function. According to this theory, only the most resilient should have the right to survive, as if we were like animals in the jungle. In my view, peace must be a lifelong process rather than being treated like the final step. It is a permanent journey through which people can nurture their soul from childhood to earthly death. Our mission on earth is fulfilled only if we become the best version of ourselves. My career and private life have given me the chance to begin the path that led me to inner balance and motivated me to help others in their search for inner peace. Today, consciousness is the result of a journey that began many years ago when challenging questions first arose to my mind and my heart. We meet our alter ego, our superego, our mentors, our opponents, our monsters along the journey. And the ability to manage these inner monsters is essential to achieve peace from within and stop justifying war outside us. The sooner we embark on our journey, the sooner we develop social and emotional skills, skills that are essential for sharing our inner peace with others in every context in which we operate. I can testify that high spiritual consciousness involves suffering, commitment, failure, resilience. But if we accept the invitation to walk the path of personal growth, we will be rewarded in the end. We could list many values and meanings that unify the whole humanity, yet almost all conflicts blow up because of the perception that certain interests and needs are under threat. In this case, brotherhood and sisterhood are undermined because material, cultural, spiritual, social needs appear to be under attack. Think about scarcity and polarization, the two concepts I mentioned at the beginning of my speech. Is the scarcity real, or is it simply the core of a framework based on imbalanced power system? You can even make people believe that a superior civilization exists on Earth, fueling a struggle for identity. In presence of polarization, the two sides seek to destroy one another. But how to prevent the final showdown? Cooperation could help us cultivate a new mindset, spreading new leadership models, from top-down management to horizontal leadership. Everybody matters. What do I mean? We have been told that society is like a pyramid, characterized by multiple layers, designed to place people according to their social role, annual income, and job. Why are they doing this? They are trying to change the human nature. We are basically inclined to listening and empathy, but we seem to lose these abilities at a certain time of our life. So how to go back to the roots? We are often influenced by selfishness. This is why real change must start from ourselves if we want to do the good. Self-awareness is fundamental for all those people who are ready to go forward. We can act by compassion because this feeling is part of our nature. No violence mood is the most powerful goal to be reached. Our everyday commitment is supporting fair and balanced values, relations, behaviors. Inner peace is an incredible gift that we can share with all the people we meet every day. It's our job, but it's worth it. Today, I'm not alone fulfilling this mission. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Nico Delphin. I would like to share something that happened when I posted my LinkedIn post inviting educators to join us. Then, then you just called me and told me I'm not an educator, but I am an advocate for peace. I want to tell you here that you are an educator. Those who have the initiative to shape minds and hold responsibility are the real educators. So welcome in our IIU pool of educators, and we will be always welcoming you. From Italy to Pakistan, let us welcome Dr. Jawad Shafi Anwar from Islamabad, Pakistan, an accomplished educationist, principal of Pedagogia School System, former section head at the Overseas Pakistan Foundation, author, international examiner for Cambridge University, and a member of Berkshire Training Services UK, Amnesty International, British Council, and the Commonwealth Foundation, a passionate advocate for every child's right to learn in a safe and supportive environment. Dr. Jawad Shafi Anwar, the floor is yours. Dr. Jawad. I fear that Dr. Jawad lost connection, so we will proceed with the schedule as it is, and then when he shows up, we'll continue. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Teresa A. Musalli from the United States, a United Nations Peace Ambassador, retired educator, transformational leader, and founder and COO of TAM, Creating Ambassadors of Peace, LLC. As a John Maxwell certified team member, she has dedicated her career to inspiring leadership, advancing peace, and empowering individuals and communities worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Teresa A. Musalli. The floor is yours. Okay. Even though I saw her, but let's move to our to another speaker. And yes, Mr. Muhammad Ahmad is with us. So, representing Pakistan, please join me in welcoming Muhammad Ahmad, President of Lincoln Tech for Education, an organization advancing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals through education, innovation, and global collaboration. A passionate advocate for future-ready learning and educational transformation. He is committed to building meaningful partnerships that empower learners and create lasting impact. Please warmly welcome with me Muhammad Ahmad. The floor is yours.
Okay, respected host, esteemed fellow educators, and global citizens joining us today, good evening. It is a profound honor to stand with you under the banner of Educators for Peace. When we look at the state of our world today, conflict often feels loud, aggressive, and overwhelming. But as educators and advocates, we know that the most powerful antidote to destruction is creation. And creation begins in the minds of next generation. Representing Pakistan, I believe our mission today goes beyond conventional teaching. We are here to talk about how we can build bridges of hope, humanity, and dignity where walls of conflict are actively being built. We often talk about peace as a simple absence of war, but true sustainable peace is the presence of opportunity, understanding, and human dignity. When we leave young minds behind without the tools to navigate, think critically, and thrive in the modern world, we leave them vulnerable to despair and division. Every child left without access to quality education is a missed opportunity for peace. Education is not just about textbooks or passing exams. It is about cultivating a mindset. It is about teaching youth how to build rather than destroy, how to cooperate rather than conflict, and how to use their voices to uplift their communities. When a young person is empowered with knowledge and digital literacy, their perspective shifts entirely. They stop viewing themselves as passive bystanders in an unstable world, and they start seeing themselves as active architects of a better future. Education gives the voice of the voiceless, crossing borders and defying geopolitical divides. But education without empathy is hollow. As educators, our global responsibility is to ensure that as we teach youth how to achieve academic and technical excellence, we also teach them how to value human life. We must intentionally cultivate an educational framework that uses innovation to unite, not divide. This requires us to forge strong global partnerships. No single country or institution can bridge the educational gap alone. Yes, we have to follow that teamwork. We must connect educators and institutions across borders to create a unified ecosystem of sustainable change, advancing our shared global goals for quality education and reduced inequality. If we want to raise our voice against war, we must lower the barriers to learning. We must ensure that a student in from anywhere, a child in Beirut, a student from Karachi, and a youth anywhere else in the world have the exact same right to hope and a secure future. Let us carry forward the spirit of this summit, not just as a temporary dialogue, but as a lifelong commitment. Let us continue to invest in hope, protect human dignity at all costs, and use education as our ultimate, most powerful instrument for global peace. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ahmad from Pakistan, for your insights. Dr. Diana Boerman from South Africa, a Doctor of Professional Studies in Strategic Management, a dynamic and multi-award-winning business growth strategist dedicated to transforming the way business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs approach their ventures. With a powerful blend of strategic insight and hands-on experience, Dr. Boorman collaborates with a select group of over 200 business owners globally, guiding organizations with turnovers ranging from 7 to 9 figures. As the visionary behind the Diamond Plan and the Diamond Academy, she empowers entrepreneurs to architect their business growth with clarity, confidence, and purpose. After retiring and selling her businesses, Dr. Borman took the opportunity to explore, research, and design the next chapter of her professional journey. Today, she serves as an impartial board member, business growth specialist, and a trusted strategic partner for CEOs worldwide, helping them embrace elevated leadership and achieve sustainable success. Dr. Diana Borman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. In a world where everyone is shouting, who's listening? We live in the most connected periods in history, yet the most divided at the same time. War no longer only happens on the battlefield. Nations are at war, communities are at war, businesses are at war, families are at war, and individuals are at war with themselves. The weapon may differ, but the consequences remain the same. Fear, division, destruction. Today, I want to suggest that perhaps the greatest act of leadership and education in our time is not learning how to win wars, but learning how to prevent them. Because peace is not passive. Peace requires courage. Wars rarely start with weapons. They start with unresolved pain, fear, scarcity, the inability to understand another human. History teaches us that every major conflict that began when people stopped seeing one another as human beings, and the same happens in business and in life. In business, departments compete instead of collaborate, leaders control instead of serve, and people protect territories instead of building trust. In families, conversations become accusations, silence becomes distance, and hurt becomes inherited. Within ourselves, many people are fighting invisible wars, burnout, anxiety, loneliness, and a loss of purpose. Before we can raise our voices against war in the world, we must silence the wars within ourselves. One of the principles that I speak about often is presence, and presence is the ability to see one another as human beings. People who feel unseen eventually become angry. People who feel unheard eventually become hostile. People who feel forgotten eventually lose hope. Perhaps the opposite of war is not peace, but perhaps the opposite of war is presence. Presence says, I see you, I hear you, your life matters. The greatest leaders throughout history were not simply powerful, they were present, because people rarely remember what we say, but rather how we made them feel. Our world often defines power incorrectly. We think power means dominance, position, wealth, and influence. But true power is different. Power is self-mastery, the power to forgive, the power to listen, the power to remain calm, and the power to choose compassion over retaliation. Real power builds, false power destroys. In business, the strongest leaders are not those who create fear, they create safety. Because when people feel safe, innovation increases, trust deepens, and teams thrive. Poise is a calm strength. That is not weakness, it's emotional maturity, which we all need to step into right now in this world. When the world becomes louder, poise becomes more valuable. War thrives in reaction, peace thrives in reflection. Poise allows us to respond instead of react, to understand before judging, seek solutions before blame. The future will belong to the leaders who remain steady while others panic, because calm people create calm cultures, and calm cultures create healthy societies. Much of my work focuses on helping people reconnect with their DNA of their business, but perhaps humanity itself has forgotten their DNA. At the core, we are designed for rhythm, not relentless pressure, community, not isolation, meaning, not merely success, contribution, not consumption, and compassion and not conflict. When we disconnect from the foundations, we create environments where conflict flourishes. When we reconnect with them, have a healing begins. Most people believe that they are too small to make a difference, but history proves otherwise. Peace is always created with ordinary people making extraordinary decisions. Choose kindness, choose understanding, choose dignity, choose hope. The question is not, can I change the world? The question is, can I change the atmosphere around me? Because every family change creates stronger communities. Every community creates stronger nations, and stronger nations create more peaceful world. Imagine if every one of us left this room today committed to ending one war, a war in our family, in our workplace, and in our hearts. What would happen if instead of raising our fists, we raise our voices? Not voices of accusations, but voices of wisdom, voices of compassion, voices of courage, and voices that remind the world that humanity is still capable of goodness. May we become people of presence. May we exercise power with humanity. May we carry ourselves with poise in uncertain times. And may our voices become louder than hatred, stronger than fear, and greater than war. Because peace does not begin in governments. Peace begins in people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman, for your insights. You really touched my heart with your word. If everybody is speaking louder than who is listening. And here comes our responsibility as educators to start teaching our young generation the importance of deep listening and the importance of good communication and effective communication. Thank you for your great insights. Because some of the featured speakers are not with us, so let's the ones that I noticed, I will invite them to speak. From India, joining us today is Dr. Vasanta Kumar, an educational, social activist, and assistant professor of computer science.
I'm not assistant professor of computer science. I'm a professor of English literature. No, you see, ma'am. Today we are discussing about the peace, how the peace is going to bring a good world. So what I mean peace. Peace is a fuel Peace is a fuel to, we are going to create the knowledge, skill, values, and to the peaceful ground to sustain our life. Without peace, we are not able to sustain our life in a good way. So we need to create a good platform with a good platform, so that we have some rules and regulations in life. That means as we are going to follow the God. God is a Holy Spirit. How we are going to Holy Spirit bring the divine? The divine means it's a peace. So apart from that, when we are going to involve non-violence activities, non-violence is one of the greatest weapon to create a peaceful platform, and from that platform we are going to observe the spirit. As the Mahatma Gandhi ji mentioned in his writings, every individual human beings have one spirit in their heart. That spirit only spread the blossoms of life. The blossoms of life. What I mean here, that if a man is going to make a peace in his life, means he is going to create a peaceful family. Then he is going to create a peaceful state. Then he is going to create a peaceful nation. That we need this type of line of life circle, means we want to sustain with the peaceful manner. How we are going to create the peaceful manner means we want to create the peaceful relationship. For the example, presently we are having a war between the America and Iran. In between that war, we are having some disturbance throughout the world. So that is UNESCO. We decided to create a one peaceful peace committee. That committee will be supported, and that committee will be going to bring a peace for this society. So what my suggestion is, the educator. The educator is a creator of the peace, because we Indian believes every educator has a God. So God is a divine. The divine peoples only create the peaceful manners. In a classroom, a teacher is going to have a relationship with the students. That is not a matter. As we believe, the Rama under by the Guru. The Guru and teacher's relationship only the maintaining the peaceful world. If the teacher is the peacemaker, that maker will be create a peaceful world. So this is my suggestion to this forum. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for your insights. Let's welcome Mrs. Marcela Barrientos from Argentina, representing Argentina. Please join me in welcoming her, an accomplished writer, cultural manager, and media host, a passionate advocate for literature, arts, and culture. She has dedicated her career to promoting creativity through international literary initiatives, virtual book fairs, and cultural programs. As the author of several books and an active voice in the global literary community, she continues to inspire audiences through the power of words and artistic expression. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcela Barrientos, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Peace begins with a smile. Mother Teresa. Good afternoon, distinguished organizers, fellow speakers, educators, and friends from around the world. It's a privilege to join you in this meaningful gathering, united by the common belief that education is one of the greatest paths toward peace. When Mother Teresa said peace begins with a smile, she reminded us that peace is not born only in treaties or government. It begins in the smallest gestures of kindness, in listening without prejudice, in respecting one another, and recognizing the dignity of every human being. Today, our world faces conflict that leave deep wounds. Wars destroy cities, but they also destroy dreams, families, childhood, and hope. In times like this, education becomes more than the transmission of knowledge. It's become an act of courage and compassion. Education for peace teaches us that difference should never become reason for hatred. Instead, they are opportunity to learn from another. to learn from one another. Every language, every culture, every tradition enriches our shared humanity. As educators, we do much more than teach subjects. We shape hearts and minds. Every classroom can become a place where empathy grows, where dialogue replaces violence, and where cooperation is stronger than division. Children are not born with prejudice. They learn from the world around them. That is why we have the responsibility to teach them values that will them throughout their lives. Respect, honesty, solidarity, justice, and compassion. Peace education is not an extra lesson in the curriculum. It is a way of living. It encourages critical thinking instead of blind intolerance. It inspires young people to solve conflicts through dialogue rather than aggression. It helps them understand that true strength is found in kindness, not in violence. Technology has connected humanity as never before. Yet, despite being more connected, many people feel increasingly divided. This reminds us that information alone cannot build peace. Only wisdom, empathy, and education can transform knowledge into understanding. As teachers, parents, leaders, and citizens, we must become examples of the value we wish to see in the next generation. Our actions often teach more than powerful than our words. Peace is built every day when we choose understanding over judgment, cooperation over competition, forgiveness over resentment, and hope over fear. Let us remember that every child who learns to respect another person becomes an ambassador of peace. Every young person who discovers the power of dialogue helps build a safer future. Every educator who teaches with love plants seeds they may flourish for generations. The future of humanity will not be determined only by economic progress or technological innovation. It all will always depend on our ability to educate compassionate hearts capable of protecting human dignity. May we continue raising our voices not to spread fear, but to spread hope, not to deepen division, but to build bridge, not to prepare for wars, but to educate for peace. As a writer, I belong to several literary groups that write for peace and publish anthologies dedicated to this fundamental cause for all humanity. Allow me to close with a short poem that I wrote, A Seed of Peace. Plant a seed with gentle hands, where hope and understanding grow. Teach each heart to cross the bridge that only love can truly know. When kindness lights another soul, the darkest night begins to cease. For every child who learns to care becomes tomorrow's voice of peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcela, for your powerful speech. We are really grateful for your presence with us today. From Argentina, we're going to move to United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a great pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Diana Richardson from the United Kingdom. Diana is the Chief Officer at the Mahila Youth Foundation. She's a business consultant and author, known internationally as the Globetrotter Mentor. She inspires people to grow, succeed, and create a positive impact. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Diana. The floor is yours. Yes, Dr. Diana? Are you here? She's here.
Yes,
I am
she's here.
here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you all today. And hello, distinguished guests, global leaders, educators, and friends. It's an absolute honor to join you today as we ignite around a simple but profound truth. Every child deserves a classroom before a conflict. Every teacher deserves a blackboard, not a battlefield. And every nation deserves peace built through education. History has shown us that wars may begin with division, but peace begins with education. Educators do far more than teach mathematics, science, or literature. They cultivate empathy. They nurture curiosity. They inspire critical thinking. And most importantly, they help young people recognize our shared humanity. Today, that mission has never been more urgent. The latest global statistics estimate that 258 million school-aged children and young people have their education disrupted by crisis. My nephew is one of these children. He's currently based in the Middle East. And on top of that, there's another 93 million completely out of school because of conflict, displacement, and emergencies. And that's from UNESCO. Behind every statistic is a child whose future has been interrupted. UNESCO also reports that more than 8,500 attacks on schools and educational institutions during 2024 and 2025 harmed or killed over 10,600 students and educators. These are not simply attacks on buildings, they're attacks on hope itself. And today, 117 million people have been displaced globally, with approximately 41% being school-aged children, reminding us that education is often the first casualty of conflict, yet the greatest pathway to recovery. And amidst these challenges, there's hope. Hope lives in every teacher who continues to teach despite uncertainty. Hope lives in every parent who believes education will create a better future. Hope lives in every young person who chooses learning instead of hatred. This is why the work of the Mahila Udiami Foundation is so important. Its mission reminds us that education is not only about knowledge, it's about opportunity, dignity, and transformation. Through its commitment to empowering women, families, and communities, Mahila Udiami is helping create a future where education becomes a bridge to economic opportunity, equality, and lasting peace. Its guiding philosophy says it beautifully: to learn, to lead, to transform. Learn with curiosity, lead with compassion, transform communities through service. This is what the Iiu represents. Because when we educate one person, we change one life. When we educate one woman, we strengthen a family. And when we educate a community, we create resilience. And when we educate a generation, we lay the foundation for peace. As Nelson Mandela famously said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So today, let us become ambassadors for that change. Let us raise our voices, not for division, but for dialogue, not for conflict, but for compassion, not for fear, but for hope, because classrooms build futures that battlefields never can. So together, let's continue to learn, to lead, and to transform. Let us choose education and let us choose peace. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all.
We would like to thank you for this inspiring message, Dr. Diana. It's really amazing and so powerful. Hawra?
Again, let's welcome Dr. Jawad Shafi Anwar from Pakistan. Dr. Jawad, we already introduced you, but you weren't here, so you can simply start to save time. Welcome, Dr. Jawad. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. Here, actually, there was a little bit problem here for the connection, and the high Wi-Fi. So now it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can proceed.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, I am talking about the role of educators in promoting the dialogue and the understanding. I am the principal of a pedagogical school system, and I have been teaching more than 20 years. And I want to ask all my colleagues a question that someone said to win a war is an disturbance as to lose one, and the peace is the respect for the rights of others. Is it true? The role of educators, for example, the education promotes dialogue and understanding by transforming classrooms into the collaborative spaces where students critically engage with diverse perspectives. And I am, as an educator, extremely concerned about war because no conducive environment can be provided in war. I want to raise one question to all my respectable colleagues. What is the outcome of the war? I repeat, what is the outcome of the war? Again, sitting for dialogues, again, searching for mediator, as recently Pakistan done in the US-Iran war. We are searching the mediators. And again, I want to ask all of you that why not think before you leave, where we can learn tolerance, mutual respect, and attentive listening, of course, in the classrooms. Students suffer profoundly during war, enduring physical danger, severe psychological trauma, and the total dispersion of their education. Millions of children are displaced or have their schools destroyed, forcing them into survival mode. For this purpose, war was imposed. We are teaching them about peace, harmony, dialogue, but practically they are watching airstrikes, bombing, and destruction. War can be averted. How? Through dialogue, diplomacy, international mediation, by addressing the root cause of the conflict. Mr. President, I salute the administration of IIU to have conference and to address this issue. In fact, this is the core issue of the world, not state of Hormuz, of Nai Hormuz. This is not the core issue. Today, the core issue is that how we can avert war. I, as an educator, feel that every child of the world needs love, harmony, and peace. Researchers detailed how promptly open discussion without fear builds motivation, social competencies, and self confidence. Rather than traditional teachers led lectures, education often relies on lectures. Education often relies on dialogue, education, and frameworks. Student was guided questioning and per discussion to construct knowledge and overcome misunderstanding. Even UNESCO emphasized that education is a critical tool for advancing intercultural understanding and respecting cultural diversity. It provides the safe environment for people to engage across the differences and build mutual respect. So, from this forum, I want to say that nowadays this debate is on that the war cannot solve the problems, and the mediate we are searching for the mediators. But before this, the United Nations must have play his role, and the countries and the other forums, they must avert the war. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. Yes, you are true. What is our role as educators if we are not really promoting peace? And once we see wars, this means that we as educators have not fulfilled our role well. So thank you so much for this insight. And let me welcome Dr. Wafa Haidamous from Lebanon. Representing Lebanon, we are honored to welcome you, Dr. Wafa Haidamous Hallousi, founder and COO of Business Consultancy and Training Services, BCTS, and the Chair of Accreditation Certification and Education at IFTDO, an internationally recognized educator and development leader. She has dedicated more than 25 years to advancing quality education, capacity building, and sustainable development. And personally, as IIU Country Director of Lebanon, I am proud to welcome you in this first conference that starts from Lebanon to the whole world. Dr. Wafa
Thank
Haidamous,
you.
the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. So, yeah, just a second. Yeah, as educators, trainers, leaders, and lifelong learners, we often speak about education as a means to build careers, strengthen economies, or advance innovation. But today, I invite you to have a look beyond education as a system or profession. So I invite you to see education as one of the humanity's greatest acts of hope, because every time we educate someone, we are making a profound statement. So we believe in people, we believe they can grow, we believe to overcome all circumstances, we believe that really they can do the best. So peace begins long before diplomacy. Let me tell you about myself, my journey. I have witnesses how education becomes more than knowledge, it becomes resilience, in Lebanon specifically. Through my career in leadership development, workforce and educators development, and international education, I have had the privilege of working with thousands of individuals all over. So young people searching for opportunities, professionals rebuilding careers, organizations navigating uncertainty, unfortunately. So one lesson I really learned, and it inspires me, people rarely change because someone gives them information. Why? How they change? They change because they wanted to do, and because they felt that they can do it, because they are impressed. They were impressed by people, by the potential. So for that reason, let me say that also the peace is before conflict. As someone who comes from Lebanon, a country that has experienced conflict, resilience, diversity, and hope, I have learned that one lesson that no university or any school textbook could ever teach. Peace is not created after conflict. Peace is created before conflict ever begins. It begins when a child learns to really to talk to someone, to rely to someone who thinks, to someone who think differently. It begins when disagreement becomes dialogue, when diversity becomes strength, when empathy becomes a daily habit. And why I firmly believe every classroom is a peaceful laboratory. So for that reason, I believe as well that education develops human competences as well. It develops, excuse me, because my speech was prepared for 20 minutes. So peace before conflict, it means that someone who has a development human competences, education, it becomes to develop, it's here to develop human competences. It's here to develop a lot of learning, creates peaceful societies, lifelong learning, and also it becomes really education that gives hope to everyone, to students, to learners, to educators. Wars begin in the mind of people. Peace must begin there too. So this is the most important thing to say. The most powerful weapon. If I ask you today, what's the most powerful weapon ever created? Someone would say technology, or some other would say artificial intelligence, economic power. So the most powerful force in human history has always been education, because every great civilization, every scientific discovery, every movement for justice, every revolution of hope began with one person who learned differently. Education has never simply changed lives. Education changed history, and we all know that. So, for that reason, awakening, who are our students becoming today? Schools and universities must no longer ask only, what do our students know? They must also ask, who are our students becoming? The purpose of education is not to produce excellent professionals. The purpose of education is to produce extraordinary human beings. Because an engineer, for example, without ethics can destroy, a scientific without compassion can harm, a leader without integrity can divide. So knowledge without humanity is very dangerous. By the end, I will invite you for a call to action. So today, I would like to challenge every educator, everyone here. Do not simply prepare students to make a living. Prepare them to make a difference. To do simply teach subjects, teach responsibility, teach kindness, courage, dignity, teach hope. Because the world does not need more educated people. The world needs more educated human beings. As for the conclusion, I can say that really, I'm sorry because I missed my conclusion. Yes, so I can say that universities and schools are really not are the point of the. Excuse me, just a second to conclude with the lovely statement. So every university can become, oh my God. So every university can become here the most, sorry, I know about the time, but every university can become a force for everyone, and a force for a peace, and a weapon to, I truly believe peace does not begin at the negotiational table. Peace begins when one human being learns to recognize the dignity of another. What's where learning meets humanity, that's where education fulfills its highest purpose. And that's where peace begins. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Wafa, for such an inspiring and meaningful message. Actually, your words reminded us that education is not only about knowledge, it's about building understanding, opening opportunities, and bringing people to get closer together. Your commitment to learners, educators, and the global cooperations actually truly reflect the spirit of today's conference. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight and for reminding us of the important role education plays in creating a more peaceful and inclusive world. Once again, thank you. Now, if you please join me, we have the honor to welcome a distinguished academic leader from South Africa. It's my great pleasure to introduce Professor Charles, Vice Chancellor of International Internship University. Professor Charles is a respected academic leader and a strong advocate of education, leadership, and international cooperation. Through his work, he is committed to empowering learners, supporting educators, and building meaningful connection among institutions and communities around the world. He firmly believes that education is more than the sharing of knowledge. It's a powerful tool for creating more chances, promoting understanding, and building a more peaceful and inclusive future. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Professor Charles. Digital floor is yours, please. Yes. Professor Charles, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Just unmute yourself. You are muted.
You can hear me now. Thank you
Yes,
very much, my
yes.
dear sister.
Yes.
I want to bless you, our great executive director. I actually admire you. You are a powerful person, and I thank God for you. As I say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my dear friends, my dear listener, all my speakers. I call upon God the Father, God, all what you discussed, what you said so far. I want us to know that at Iiu, International Internship University, we learn every day as we are trying to, as we have been speaking on a educator for peace. We should raise our voice against war. Every one of us, we need peace. And with peace, we'll be happy. As an advocate of peace and the founder of Dynamic Peace Mission, Dynamic Peace Mission International, DPIP, I thank God for God who has created me for the past how many years. I've been talking about peace as an advocate of peace. And I'm in Iiu as the Vice Chancellor. I need to thank God that this peace will impact the world without limits. And we are here, we Iiu here, we believe that peace is for all and education for all, not set of people. And thank God for our great advocate, our great founder, Sir Advocate Piyush Pandey, who said no one should be left behind. That is why we are here. And we believe in building unity always. And we are called by God to uphold it, to build a better world. Education brings confidence, it gives you that confidence, which leads to hope and peace. Without confidence, it's not possible. Without education, it's not possible for you to be able to have hope and peace. We propagate it, we let people know. And God has mandated us, mandated that peace, urging humanity to nurture intellects and protect every life and alleviate one another. God's messages are centered on building peace, hope, and human dignity through education. Yes, with education, there is hope. With education, there is peace. With education, there is human dignity, which we must uphold. And as we all know that war is being described as a strategic consequence of human arrogancy. It is when you are arrogant, when the human being is arrogant, doesn't know the will of God, that will make him angry, that will make him to be bringing war. Why war? Negative. Why negative? Why not bring ourselves together for peace? Something good, something that will protect or give us healthy world. And the word of God made us to understand also that women are created by God and endowed with internet dignity, intent dignity. So why war? Why creating those war? Preserving and honoring this dignity is the foundation of peace. We have a dignity to maintain. We have a substance, we have a name, we have integrity to maintain. We must uphold it. We don't need to go for war. War is for the mad people, crazy people, people that don't have that wisdom, that don't have education. They are the one going for war. And God is calling us for justice, for respect, for condemning oppression and violence. Condemn it totally. It's not allowed. Nationwide, national world, everywhere. What knowing that war and destruction are rooted in hatred, are rooted in proud, are rooted in greedy. When one is greedy, when one is hating people, why will you hate your friends, your brother? Why will you be arrogant? Why will you be proud? That is why the negative thing will come. You will not be behaving abnormally, which is wrong. God's spiritual directive calls for reconciliation. It calls for forgiveness. It calls for light. We are the light. We can't. When you are in darkness, you go for war. When you don't forgive, you go for war. When you don't reconcile, you go for war. We are people in Iiu that we reconcile. We bring forgiveness. We forgive ourselves, and we are the lights of the world to shine. Let people see us, and they will emulate us also. God wants us to dwell in the safety and trust. Want us to dwell in safety and trust. Yes, God wants us to promote peace, hope, and He viewed it as a sacred task that reflects God's love on earth. We must be a citizen of heaven. We must love on earth. We don't need to be fighting. Why fighting? It's people that are so arrogant that fights. It's the pathway to enlightenment and away from conflict. Yes, education. Why? You went to school, you have all those degrees. Why conflict? Why fighting? Why war? Many you have not, because education gives you light. When you are creating enmity, creating war, creating all those misunderstanding on heavy condition, that means it's war. It doesn't mean you start holding gun. It's the last resort. Gun is the last resort. You don't need to. True education goes beyond acquiring facts. It is a tool for spiritual formation. Look at that. Education, spiritual information. Whoever doesn't go for spiritual information, doesn't go for such a peaceful area, a lightful area, that person is not reformed yet. And education is a tool of which it develops the discernment. It makes us to develop discernment. And it builds the character required to choose peaceful and coexistence over violence. We don't need to. We need to be peaceful. That's what education tells me. Anybody I discover is not peaceful, he has not gone to school, he doesn't have any education. He's just causing commotion all over the world. In God's word, in the book of Proverbs, emphasizes that fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, of knowledge, and also of understanding. The fear of the Lord shows understanding, knowledge, understanding, wisdom. If you don't have all these things, that means you go for war, and war is it damages things. All this war we are seeing all over, everywhere, war. Why war? Why war? We should discard it. Anybody doing war, that person is not educated. That person is a mad person, which are supreme treasure that brings stability, peace, fruitfulness to the society. That is peace. It says it brings stability, it brings peace, it brings fruitfulness to the society. Through education, foster critical thinking. We need to use our brain for thinking, not all those work, negative things. Why all those things? We need to use our brain, our head for compassion, compassionate, yes, tolerance, yes, and the ability to distinguish between good and hateful. War is evil. There's no peace in war. It's not a good thing. War is evil. Whoever that make war, that bring hatred, that bring all those negative things, that person is evil. We should tell ourselves the truth and not the truth. These are necessary to prevent the spread of arrogancy and war. Today, God is calling us as humanity to be instrument of peace rather than perpetrating war, which begins in the mind. It's the mind. Before those you can bring on, do all those things, it's the mind, it's the mindset. Our mindset must be wrong, right. Let us know that war begins.
I think Professor Charles lost his connection. Thank you, Professor Charles, for your inspiring and thoughtful word. Your message reminded us that strong leadership begins with learning, personal growth, and commitment to empowering others. Your work in developing people and organizations truly reflects the spirit of positive change we celebrate today. Thank you once again for sharing your valuable insights with us. Now, representing Tanzania It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome Professor Chania Bihenji. She's an experienced consultant and trainer dedicated to leadership, learning, and professional development. Through her work, she helps individuals and organizations strengthen their skill, grow with confidence, and create positive change in their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Chania Bihenji from Tanzania. Digital floor is yours. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Distinguished IAU office bearers, Dr. Virginia, the CEO, and Professor Charles, the host, ladies and gentlemen, peace greetings to you all. Today, please allow me to speak about the subject that touches the deepest corners of human conscience, the suffering of innocent children in Gaza, Lebanon, Middle East, and Ukraine. While political debates continue and conflicts dominate headlines, there is a heartbreaking reality that must never be forgotten. Behind every explosion, every ruined building, and every statistic, there is a child whose world has been shattered. Children are meant to live in safety. They are meant to laugh freely, attend school peacefully, dream fearlessly, and sleep without terror. Yet, for countless children in these parts of the world, Gaza, Lebanon, Middle East, and Ukraine, childhood itself has become a distant memory. Imagine a child waking up not to the sounds of birds or school bells, but to sirens, explosions, and screams. Imagine a little boy clutching his younger sister while buildings tremble around them. Imagine a young girl searching through the rubble for her toys, her books, or even family members. These are not scenes from a movie. These are realities faced daily by children trapped in conflict zones. In Gaza, many children have spent much of their lives surrounded by fear and uncertainty. Homes have been destroyed, schools have been damaged, hospitals have struggled under immense pressure. Access to food, clean water, medicine, and electricity has become dangerously limited. Families who once lived ordinary lives now struggle simply to survive another day. Children there carry invisible wounds far beyond physical injuries. Trauma has become part of the daily existence. Psychologists explain that repeated exposure to violence deeply affects a child's mental and emotional development. Many children suffer from nightmare, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and severe emotional distress. Some become fearful of loud sounds. Others stop speaking altogether. Many lose the sense of safety every child deserves. What makes this even more painful is that children do not create wars. They do not choose conflict. They do not understand political rivalries or military strategies. Yet they pay the highest price. A child who loses a parent loses guidance, protection, and emotional security. A child who loses a home loses comfort and stability. A child who loses access to education loses opportunities for the future. And when thousands of children experience all these losses at once, an entire generation faces long-term suffering. The situation in Lebanon has brought immense hardship to children. Economic instability, displacement, and armed conflict near border regions have created fear and uncertainty among families. Many children live in southern Lebanon have been forced to flee their homes. Some live in temporary shelters or overcrowded conditions, unsure when or whether they will return home safely. For these children, normal life has been interrupted. Education has been disrupted. Friendships have been separated. Dreams have been delayed. Many parents struggle to provide even the most basic necessities because of our economic hardship and insecurity. Children living through war often mature too quickly. Instead of worrying about homework or sports, they worry about survival. Instead of planning for birthdays and celebrations, they fear the next attack. This is not how childhood should be. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest tragedies of war is the normalization of suffering. When conflict continues for long lives, the world sometimes becomes desensitized. News reports move quickly from one crisis to another. Statistics replace faces, numbers replace names, but every child matters. Every innocent life matters. When we hear that thousands of children have been displaced, injured, orphaned, or killed, we must remember that each number represents a human story. A child who loved football, who enjoyed drawing, who dreamed of becoming a doctor, teacher, engineer, or artist. No child should ever become accustomed to hunger, fear, or loss. The trauma of these children experienced today may remain with them for decades. Experts on childhood conflict have shown that prolonged exposure to violence can affect emotional health, learning ability, and social development throughout adulthood. Without support, many children carry deep psychological scars long after the sounds of war fade. Yet, despite unimaginable hardships, the resilience shown by these children is extraordinary. Even in refugee camps and damaged neighborhoods, children still try to smile, play, study, and hope. Some continue attending makeshift schools. Others comfort younger siblings despite carrying their own pain. Their courage reminds us of incredible strength of the human spirit. But resilience should never become an excuse for the world to ignore suffering. Children should not have to be strong enough to endure war. They should simply be protected from it. As members of the global community, we all share a moral responsibility. Humanity cannot be selective in compassion. Every child, regardless of nationality, religion, or background, deserves dignity, safety, education, healthcare, and hope. We must support humanitarian efforts that provide food, medical aid, shelter, and psychological support to affected children and families. International organizations, relief workers, doctors, teachers, and volunteers continue risking their own lives to help vulnerable communities. their work deserves recognition and support. We must also encourage dialogue, peace building, and diplomacy. Lasting peace cannot be achieved through endless cycles of hatred and destruction. True peace begins when human life is valued above political divisions and violence. Recently, Brazil's president was visibly emotional as he spoke about the sufferings of Palestinian people, breaking down into tears while addressing the world's silence. His message was simple but deeply painful. How can the world look away while innocent civilians continue to suffer? He said the real victims are not soldiers on a battlefield, but women, children, and families caught in the middle of devastation that they never chose. His tears reflected what millions around the world feel, but too many leaders refuse to say that aloud. This is not politics. This is a humanitarian tragedy unfolding in front of everyone while powerful governments demand words, delay actions, and protect their own interests when children are dying and when mothers are mourning and when entire families are being erased. Silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. The world heard his pain. The question now is whether it will finally respond. History teaches us an important lesson. Wars eventually end, but the scars left on children can last generations. A traumatized child today may become a broken adult tomorrow unless healing, support, and hope are provided. Therefore, we must raise our voices not for division, but for humanity, not for hatred, but for compassion, not for revenge, but for peace. To the children of Gaza, Lebanon, Middle East, and Ukraine, we say you are not forgotten. Your pain matters. Your lives matters. Your dreams matters. And to all of us gathered here today, let us remember that silence in the face of suffering weakens our shared humanity. We may not all have the power to stop wars directly, but we all possess the power to care, to speak, to support humanitarian efforts, and to promote peace and understanding. In the end, the measure of humanity is not found in wealth, technology, or power. It is found in how we protect the most vulnerable among us, our children. May we work towards a future where no child sleeps in fear, where no parent worries a child because of conflict, and where peace becomes stronger than violence. Thank you very much for listening to me. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your insightful message. It is true, wars are leaving very harmful scars on children. And whether these children are from Gaza, Lebanon, or Ukraine, children all over the world are innocent and they all deserve to be protected. Let's welcome Ru'a al-Masri from Lebanon. Representing Lebanon, it is my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Ru'a Masri, an accomplished online educator, digital learning specialist, and passionate teacher with extensive experience in online education. She's dedicated to creating engaging, interactive, and learner-centered learning experiences that empower students around the world. Through her innovative approach to digital education, she continues to inspire learners and make quality education more accessible. Ru'a al-Masri, the
Good
floor is
afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm Ru'a Al-Masri, and I would like to talk about the role of schools during conflicts and crisis under the theme Educators for Peace. As objectives, I'm going to talk about the Lebanon crisis, a small introduction, some roles of schools during conflicts and crisis. Some of them were providing a safe environment, supporting mental health, promoting peace and understanding, maintaining learning, and finally the conclusion. Unfortunately, many countries have witnessed difficult times such as wars, conflicts, or disasters. As well, Lebanon has experienced these difficult times, such as displacement, uncertainty, and violence. The most affected ones were the children because their education was interrupted, their sense of safety is challenging, and most experience fear, stress, and trauma. So that's why schools have become more than just a place for learning. They have become a place of hope and safety and emotional support. As educators, our role extends beyond teaching lessons, is to help also our students to help them through hope, resilience, and confidence. So yes, now let's look out for the role of schools during conflicts and crisis. First, we have providing a safe environment. Surely children should have to feel emotionally and physically safe in a classroom. So as teachers, we have to encourage the cooperation, the supportive teamwork, and we have to listen carefully to each other with respect, even when opinions are different. We have to let them share opinions without offensive languages, without violence, and connect these children by face-to-face activities and participate in projects because that will help them build strong and positive relationships. Second is to support mental health. We know that conflicts might leave children to feel like nervous, frightened, overwhelmed, even though these emotions are not visible, but they affect the learning and behavior. So one of the simplest and most powerful thing to do is to practice active listening. Once children feel heard, they feel valued. So let us discuss emotions with these students and help them to manage stress, fear, and the trauma, to connect families, whenever necessary, to connect families with professional support services so that children they will feel the help they need, or they will have the help they need. And third, promoting peace and understanding. The education, it reduces violence by teaching values like empathy, respect, and tolerance. Instead of encouraging through conflicts, we encourage students to dialogue, to cooperation, and peaceful problem solving. Do not include them in what's happening outside. Instead, we have to stay away from anger and violence. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. By his saying, education, it helps to build strong relationships and it opens through more opportunities. Without education, without work, the societies will be in a greater risk of crime, robbery, and drug abuse. And fourth, maintaining learning. Learning is a very important whenever possible, even in difficult times, because routines might create a sense of normality and hope to these children. As teachers, we have to engage these students in group discussions, to plan motivation lessons, build a positive routine and good habits, to prioritize social emotional learning like empathy, cooperation, communication, to share the love with the students. Sometimes a smile, a game, or a fun classroom activity might have a lasting impact on child's day. So as a conclusion, even in difficult times, schools are not just a place for learning. They have become a place of hope, safety, and emotional support. As educators, we don't have to limit ourselves just on teaching them subjects like math, sciences, and languages. We have to also help them become more resilient, more confident, more compassionate, to contribute for the future. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ru'a, for your insightful message. It's really true
Yeah.
that what we can do with the children can change the whole world. It's true that we can share love with children in addition to communication, collaboration, empathy, and any other value that we can do. Yes,
Yeah.
children deserve love, and we educators, after mothers, are the most people who can provide this feeling to them.
Yes, true heart.
Representing Tanzania, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Fatima Ramadani Malita, an ambassador, mentor, educator, trainer, and writer, passionate about leadership, education, and personal development. She's committed to empowering individuals, fostering global collaboration, and inspiring lifelong learning. Through her work, she continues to make a meaningful impact by nurturing future leaders and promoting positive change in communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Mrs. Maleta. We are delighted to have you with us. Please share your inspiring message.
Thank you very much. Hope I can be heard. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Well, one thing I can say as as educators and leaders for this generation, we have deeply felt the humanity race because we have failed to support our brothers in a way that a lot of damage and impact that has happened, but that doesn't mean that despite the ongoing wars that are happening and going on globally, we still have a way to reach out and to do something about it. We need to have a collective call for action. We need to reach out for people and for leaders. They have to, like most of the leaders, they have to take accountability. And if trusted by with a position, you have to make sure that you do what is righteous and fulfilling the roles so that the younger generation can look up to what the leaders are doing and they can learn from that. We have the issue of war children growing up in war zone areas, children who have experienced war. Obviously, there is a lot of impact, such as issues of trauma, and these children are healing. And some are in the process of healing, some are not yet there, and it's going to take a lot of years and a lot of support to get there because we have failed to maintain global peace, and that has brought a lot of damage to children, to war victims, to survivors, and the journey towards healing is going to take quite a while, but we are gonna get there eventually because in the end, we all hope and have a desire to live in a peaceful world. I don't think any parent want to see their children living in a war zone area or in a place where gunfires are something that they wake up from or they woke up with. Or they want to see their children holding guns and going to war. Eventually, we all want to have a secure future for the future generation. We want to have children growing in safety environment. We want to have children growing and learning to become more responsible members and accountable members, accountable leaders. And that comes with nurturing more responsible, accountable generation of future leaders. We have to work together to maintain that. And as we're talking right now, there is ongoing wars, and I think a lot of us have a lot of questions that when will all this end? Is it like when will people go home? There are refugees, people who are looking out to go back to their home, to rebuild their home countries. There are people who are looking for solutions, peaceful dialogues, and there are people who are victims in all this. And we're talking mostly also about a lot of men and women and also children that have deeply gone through a lot of harm, and it's going to take a while to like deal with everything. And in the end, we all want to just have a peaceful world full of equality and free from discrimination, and to build our homes, our life. Yeah, in the end, life is really short. And if we look at what we are fighting for, in the future years, we probably won't be here, but what we do will actually make a very big impact. We might not be there, but we see what we do and what we have done still going on and making impact. We have a lot of I have a lot of humanitarian friends that I've lost, especially some who have gone to volunteer in war zones, like doctors and humanitarians, leaders, and some have not come back. But in the end, it's the faith that one day people will be free, one day the world will be peaceful, one day humanity can be more kinder and a safer place for all of us to live, to grow, to learn. In the end, we're in the process of learning from each other. We are learning from our mistakes. We have to learn from what has happened from previous wars. We've had the world wars, we've had the Israel-Palestine war, we have the Ukraine war. We all have to learn what impacts have come from all this, and we have to do better. We have to say, like, we don't want this to keep happening. We want to become better. We want a better world, a more peaceful world. And that call is for each and every one of us to take action, to stand out, to just say, no, enough is enough. We have to put an end to this. Thank you very much. I think I'm done here. Hopefully I didn't speak
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fatima, for your insightful message. Yes, it's true that the best thing education can teach for our generation is humanity. And as we have lost through wars many humanitarians, it's our job to build up more and more future humanitarians to complete the path. I guess that our conference has come to an end, and I would like to invite Maha or Virginia if they would like to say any last word before I close.
Thank you, Hawra. As we come to the end of this meaningful gathering, actually, I would like to leave you with one thought. Peace is not simply the end of conflict. It begins when people feel heard, respected, safe, and hopeful. Tonight, voices from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds came together with one shared purpose: to remind the world that education can build bridges where division has created walls. An educator does more than teach a lesson. An educator can open a mind, calm a fear, challenge hate, and help a young person imagine a better future. Every classroom that welcomes dialogue, every lesson that teach kindness, and every teacher who chooses understanding over judgment plant a seed of peace actually. On behalf of the International Internship University, I extend our sincere appreciation to our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Mike and Dr. Virginia, and also to every speaker here, every featured speaker who shared their time, experience, and message with us today. A special thank you also goes to our conference founder, Ms. Hawra Ghandour, Iiu Country Director for Lebanon, for turning this important vision into a global gathering. We also thank the organizing team, everyone who worked behind the scene, and our audience for joining us and believing in the power of this conversation. But tonight shouldn't end with the final speech. Let us carry this message into our schools, universities, workplaces, homes, and communities. Let us speak with courage, listen with respect, and lead with humanity. Because a change doesn't always begin with a large movement. Sometimes it begins with one voice, with one lesson, one act of kindness, or one person who decides not to remain silent. When educators raise their voices for peace, they do more than speak. They give hope a voice. They give hope a voice, and they give the future a chance. May we continue to learn with purpose, lead with compassion, and act with courage. Thank you for being part of Educators for Peace, raising our voice against war. Until we meet again, let us choose dialogue over division, understanding over hate, hope over fear, and peace over conflict. Thank you and good evening, everyone.
Sorry, Maha, thank you for your support. But in order not to have any raised hand left behind.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, I noticed one of the participants, Mazana Jallo. Would you please open your mic and introduce yourself?
If she can,
Yes.
open her cam, if you please. And
Yes,
if you would like to share a final message, yes, you're more than welcome to do. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, depending on the time that you are. I am Masane Jallo from the Gambia. I am a restorative justice practitioner in schools and in the juvenile centers. I thank the speakers. Definitely, this has given me more motivation and zeal, to work with schools and child centers to establish peace within the country. The only question that I want to ask, how can we do as a group to unite, to come together as is the center of the world within the speech that I have listened to collaborate and help each other as the group, village group, to establish the peace in schools. Like in our country, definitely we really need this information that you people are doing in your country. Because for us, we doesn't have peace education, which I'm trying to establish, and then see how best children can live in peace. Corporal punishment, which is very harsh, child marriage, or a suspension exposure is highly in our country. Speaking to most of the students, they said when some of the teachers step into the classroom, their minds are not steady because of harsh or being harassed or being humiliated when you are giving your answers or when you give a wrong answer. So how can we collaborate as a world to establish peace in every corner of the classroom? I thank you. That's the question.
Let me answer this your question, and thank you for this great question. And what we're doing today is a real example of what we can do as educators. Just when we connect internationally, we enable them to communicate, to collaborate, and to change the world into a peaceful and positive one. When we connect international teams, we teach them how to use diversity without losing their identity. We teach them how to listen before they communicate and how to use empathy before anything else in their life. Together, let us continue as educators, educate with compassion, with courage, and build a future where every child has the opportunity to learn, thrive, and live in peace. Thank you for being part of this global movement, not just a conference. May peace guide our work, our communities, and our world. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay connected, and keep making a difference. Thank you, and goodbye all.
Goodbye all.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Great.
Thank you. Goodbye.